everyone. Welcome to today's edition of GunnerKing's Court. Today I've got Gums on the show. What's going on? You good?
How you keeping? You right, yeah?
Yeah, all good, man. All good.
Because I can't be in this hot seat for a hot minute.
I know, yeah. It does feel, and it has literally been a hot seat, man. Jesus,
hot seat. Yeah.
So hot down here, man. It's unbelievable.
How's things your side, all right?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. I'm feeling surprisingly positive for an Arsenal fan during a summer transfer window. Like, it's just, I'm waiting for it to all. Well, no. I'm trying to be positive. So I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to hex it. But you know, 2 signings in the bag. Ben White ready to come back and do his medical to make it free. It looks like we still got juice in the tank to go for more. So surprising.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think we're definitely going to get a big midfielder, like nothing less than 30 mil. I think. Yeah, obviously Locatelli's first choice, maybe Basuma or Neves second and third. Our and Maddison. So between one of those 5, I definitely feel we'll see one of them, which is still going to be a big signing for us. I think a ready-made, established player.
I think we're going to see a few more, man. But before we get into it, guys, I just want to remind everyone to smash the likes and subscribe to the Armoury TV, FTB Sports. You know, you can tune in there for the United Agenda, Paxton Road for the Trophy Dodgers, and obviously the Armoury TV for Arsenal. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. For those that are watching, please hit the please smash the likes and subscribe button, you know, just to help our platform grow. But yeah, like, I think, you know, Gums have touched on a few things there that I wanted to discuss today. I think, yeah, what kind of ties in with what you were saying, and I hope this is the right one. This thumbnail here, I believe, regarding a statement that was made by Arteta. Bear with me a second.
Yeah, I see it there.
Has it come up?
It came and it went again.
Why has it come off my? It's not coming on my.
Yeah, it's there now. It's on now.
Right. So, Gums, you'll have to read that out because I can't see it on my screen. Basically.
All right. So Arteta said, "This is a tweet from Chris Wheatley. We need some senior players with different types of leadership in the team, with different qualities, people that complement each other."
And yeah, that's gone now, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. So yeah, look, I think, you know, he's kind of said it there. You know what Gumser was kind of touching on earlier. You know, we're still looking at signings. You know, a lot of people. Do you know what I find funny? Right, rival fans, are just like, Arsenal never spend any fucking money. Yeah. Then we, you know, we buy Tavares. Oh, who's he? Oh, he's no one. He didn't cost very much. No one was saying that when he scored on his debut against Rangers with his weak foot, might I add.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Humble your mumbles. And then on top of that, and then on top of that, you know, then we sign Lokonga, and again it's like, who is he? You lot of bargain basement hunting. He's not going to go in your first team. So it's like we've gone from spend some money and do some business early. So we start doing business early. We're spending money. Then it's something else. You know. Yeah. And for those that didn't know, Lokonga was the captain of Anderlecht, age 21. Which, whatever you want to say about the standard of Belgian football and the standard of the Belgian league, to be the captain of any team at 21 clearly shows you've got some gumption as a leader.
Yeah,
and some ability as a football player, right? And he's highly touted. And now with Ben White, you got the whole spectrum now. Now it's like you're spending too much money on one player.
Yeah, it's always going to be that way. It's always going to be that way.
It's funny though.
I'm not saying it's hate, but end of the day, like, I'm just happy seeing us conducting some business. I'm just happy seeing us conducting business. New signings always bring a bit of excitement to the table anyway. And as I said, I've been saying it for weeks. The scope of the signings we're making excite me because it's getting the philosophy correct. Younger players, yes, they may treat Arsenal like a stepping stone, but if they do, we're going to make a lot of money when we sell them on, and then we go and reinvest it somewhere else. So that is the model we need. We don't have a billionaire. Well, we do have a billionaire owner, but he doesn't like to spend his money. So we're not in a luxury position like Chelsea and City where they could afford players to rot or not make money on players. We're not in that position. So we have to do things a bit smarter. So yeah, I'm happy with the window so far. Again, I look back on previous windows. Some of our less known signings and cheaper signings are actually better signings. Again, you look at your Guendouzi's, you look at your Martinelli. Those guys didn't cost a fortune. They were unknown before they came to Arsenal, and they've done very well in that time. So again, you look at some of the better players in the league for the last 5 years. You're talking people that had massive impacts are like Mahrez, Kante, Ndidi, Basuma. These players are sought after, and they wasn't known. They didn't come from big leagues. They came from Kante was playing League 2 in France at one stage. Do you know what I mean? So it's yes, you can get the big players, and they will be successful. There's players out there for a good price who can equally do just as good a job. And I'm hoping that Lokonga and Tavares are like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm hoping they can hit the ground running and really improve our team. And I do feel they will.
People forget our most successful era was based on a time when Arsene Wenger was signing players that made everyone say, who?
Yeah, you can go through the list of them.
No, but they weren't saying who, when a season or two after Vieira, your Armoury's, your Petits, and the likes of those guys were coming in. So yeah, look, I just have to laugh because it's the whole spectrum. You didn't spend any money. Now we're spending money. Now it's like, you're spending it on no ones. Then a no one scores on his debut against the Scottish champions that were undefeated last season, and then the other guy comes in. And it's like, who's he? As if he hasn't been called up to the Belgium squad at age 21 and hasn't captained Anderlecht and isn't highly touted by the likes of Vincent Kompany, who coaches him. The likes of Thierry Henry, who's watched him, who probably knows a thing or two about a good player. And then with the Ben White thing, it's like, oh, well, now you're just blowing your money, and it's like, what is it? Like, all I know is we don't care because unlike a lot of teams, we are doing business early and we are doing business well. Yeah, we are signing young and up and coming prospects. But look, I'm not going to say they're going to set the world alight in their first season or even at all. But, the potential is there for them to do that. Everyone a few years ago was talking about Harry Maguire costing 80 million. I don't think anyone is going to bring that up again after the Euros that he's just had.
It's true.
This is the potential that we have with someone like a Ben White. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Maguire or, I'm not trying to compare him in terms of quality to that player. But that's what the difference, a good development path, can make. So look, I think what Arteta touched on there is now that he needs to bring in some leaders. I think now from that tweet that showed Arteta's statement, from that, I read that he's looking to bring in more established players now, players that are ready to immedially
go into that 11,
that 11 and impact the quality and the output of that first team 11. And look, look, if you're going to do the easier to do bits first, get the squad replacement for Guendouzi and Torreira. Potentially Willock if he goes on loan or if he's sold, and get the backup that Kieran Tierney, who is consistently injured, needs. And then we can start getting into the nitty gritty stuff, Then we can start into the weeds.
And with that, I think sometimes as well, as I said, people overlook the fact that there's loads of competitions going on. So actually, it might not be in a case of we wanted to sort out the second squad first. It might be actually those guys were the ones that are available to have. They had their holiday. They're now ready for talks and medical, and they're ready to do the transfer and go out and play. Because Ben White is not in that position. James Maddison maybe, to be fair, but I think he's a waiting game. Again, I think we're waiting on Locatelli. I think that will be the domino effect will be him first. If it comes out next week, he's going Juve, you will see us then move for our next target. So again, I think not that Arteta doesn't want to do some of it early, but it could be just actually, I need to wait because I've spoke to this agent and he said his player's not interested in talking until this competition's finished or until he's finished his holiday or whatever it is. So again, I feel we've just done, because again, Ben White was one that came out quite quick and it was like, oh, where's that come from? And again, I do feel, yes, the Euros played a part, but also I think other teams probably would look at a centre-back later in the window So again, I think he's knows actually let me tie that one up quite early, because if I leave that 4 weeks, who knows if someone builds with Rudiger, all of a sudden Chelsea now want another centre back, or if Benfica coming back in for Lindelof, United now want another centre back. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's why he might have gone for that early. But I do think we are in the right area. I do want to see that midfielder come in before we go further into pre-season. But at the same time, I think we have to be realistic. We have to be patient for the right kind of players. So I'm happy. I'm happy.
Exactly that. I just want to respond to this, Tony, man. Like, I'm someone that watches football from all 5 of the top European leagues. I've got every sport channel available to me here. And, you know, I've got stream sites for days where I can just catch up with things. Brother, I've been watching Locatelli before the Euros, yeah? If you watch the season he had at Swansea, you would definitely reconsider that statement. Just saying, you know, like he's definitely better than Torreira was when he left Italy, and better than Torreira has ever been at Arsenal and Atletico Madrid as well. But yeah, look, I think moving on, guys. Locatelli's definitely an upgrade on any midfielder that we've got at the moment. You know, like, I mean, Partey for me is the one recognised deep-lying centre midfielder that I think we have of quality. Everyone else, I just think, is a footnote. That's it, Thomas Partey, and he can't play there on his own. So if you're telling me that Locatelli is an upgrade on nothing, or isn't an upgrade on Guendouzi, who's gone, Torreira, who's going,
Xhaka,
who's going, Willock, who probably needs a bit more experience and isn't the finished article, then I don't know what to say, really. I genuinely don't. But I don't know. I mean, look, each to their own. I think he's intelligent enough to be able to adapt to the Premier League. And look, he does have athleticism. People think just because he's not quick over 5 or 10 yards that he's slow and that he hasn't got an engine on him. The guy doesn't stop running. You know, if you look at distance covered in most of his Swansea and Italy games, if you look at the areas of the pitch that he covers as well in midfield, it's not like it's a scatter of a wide area. Most of his heat maps, he's everywhere, like in both boxes as well.
Yeah,
he's a quality player. But look, Neves is quality. Bissouma's the guy I really want. He's quality. And I bet you, if none of those are available, then we'll pull something else out of the bag. You know, when you're going for that volume of targets, what's pretty clear is that we are determined to bring someone in that area, and we will.
Yeah, do you know, just touching on what you're saying as well about linked with so many targets, I hear so many people saying Arsenal don't know what they're doing, that's why we link with so many people. And I'm thinking, actually, that's complete opposite. I feel that actually having these discussions with a number of targets, you're setting you know where you want to head with it. It's not a panic buy. So just say we're putting all eggs in Locatelli. If that falls flat, we then will be scrambling to secure our next target. And actually, by knowing exactly what it's going to cost us to get which player, we then don't have to rush. It also, again, I don't know the depth of Arteta and Edu's thinking, but it could be, okay, if we get Locatelli, Aouar's our target, because them two might complement each other quite well. Or it might be if we spend 40 on Locatelli, we can only afford 25 an hour. Whereas if we then get Bissouma, who might be cheaper, it then might be Bissouma and Maddison. Do you know what I mean? So there could be combinations of if we get that one, then we get that one. Or if we get that central midfielder, we then get that number 10. So also I think that could play a part of why we are hesitating a bit. But as I'm not angry at being linked with a few players. I'd rather that than focus heavy on one. It falls through and then we panic and buy someone completely different. At least we know actually they are doing their due diligence on all those players. So if whichever one we choose to pull the trigger for, it's been thought out and not just a panic. So
and I think I just wanted to just read out a few comments quickly.
You go for it.
RCB being, yeah, like big up the Chelsea massive. Not too much, obviously, but yeah, look, I felt the same about Torreira as well. I felt he was unnecessarily ostracized for making mistakes, and I would have loved to have seen him play with Partey. Genuinely, I think they would work pretty well together. But you know, look, a lot of circumstances have happened now with his mother passing away, with him being homesick, wanting to go back.
He never really settled, did he?
Yeah, and I think in terms of life in London, he's not really acclimatized to it, and he's come out and he's been open about that and said it. Look, it's horses for courses. You know, he likes the quieter life. He likes the Italian weather, the Italian culture, the South American culture and the Italian. There's a lot of assimilation there. You know, when you look at the histories, that are shared. You know, maybe with Italy and Argentina being an example. You know, the cultural assimilation often from South America to Italy is a lot easier. And you've got to consider these things now in the modern game. You've got to consider what happens. He wouldn't be well, and he settled in Italy. You know, when he was there, he was happy with his life off the pitch. And more often than not, now, if you're not happy with life off the pitch, your performances on the pitch will suffer. So I think he might not get his move back to South America. I think we've priced him out of a lot of moves back there. But I think the general consensus is that he wants to go back to Italy as a stopgap before he then eventually goes back to South America. So more power to him. I wish him all the best. I don't have anything against him as a player. And, I think he could have done very well for us. In terms of prioritizing Neves, I kind of agree because he's got Premier League experience. Good age. Yeah, good age as well.
Being a captain since, 19 years old?
Well, yeah, he was a captain of Porto at 18 in the Champions League game, which is still the record. Youngest ever captain in a Champions League game to this day.
Do you know, I think the one thing that...
leadership as well, that leadership profile, that's the other element
100%.
that surprises me as well.
He scores from outside the box. I think the one thing that maybe is letting him down a bit is maybe just mobility and pace around the pitch. I think that's the only stumbling. But I wouldn't read too much into it personally. I don't think you need to be the quickest in midfield.
I think technically he's an upgrade on Xhaka.
He's good. Yeah, 100%.
Maybe like that physical and that athletic aspect of it. I'd say he is an upgrade to Xhaka, but not a sharp one. Not like a style.
I think it's massive. I think it's depends what style you're playing. If you're dominating the ball, he's a massive upgrade on Xhaka.
But I mean in terms of like the mobility side of his game.
I wouldn't say
I wouldn't say that's a massive upgrade. But on the technical side, mate, it's chalk and cheese.
Night and day in it. Yeah.
The guy's a Rolls Royce and Xhaka's a Fiat. No disrespect to Xhaka, but you know what I mean. Like on the ball, Neves is saucy. And much more press resistant, much more progressive with his passing, and probably much better as a ball carrier, in spite of not being that much quicker or mobile than Xhaka, but still being a bit quicker and more mobile than Xhaka. I think Locatelli offers more of an upside on both.
That's what I think the difference is. I think
the athletic side,
we don't score enough from midfield. I think if you look at our numbers last year, Willock, who left before Christmas, was like our highest scoring midfielder, and he only played a handful of UEFA Cup games, a handful of Premier League games, and then disappeared from January, and still our top scoring midfielder. So I think that's what Locatelli offers you. I do know Neves does score from outside the box. He hits a couple a season, but obviously you can't always guarantee those thunderbolts. So I think Locatelli gives you that.
He's not a great goal scorer from midfield. He's a scorer of great goals from midfield.
Yeah, So I think that's where Locatelli has the advantage. From that deep line of role or that kind of box to boxy role, he scores more than the others, and I think that's probably where the favoritism from him comes from. Is he might add 8 goals a season, whereas Neves is probably going to give you 3 or 4. Probably something similar. So I think that's when
it definitely makes sense. Like what you're saying. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. I think it definitely makes sense. I think that's how we kind of prioritized Locatelli, and then the good thing is, as you said earlier, usually we're scrambling for plan Bs, but here what we've done is we've got 1, 2, 3, and there's a successive plan to go through in the event we have to move on, which is more proactive, and you're seeing planning there. Look, I don't want to give Kroenke's praise, because I hate them, and it's going to take more than one window,
definitely,
to make me complicit in any form of forgiveness or respect to be bestowed towards them, because they've let it get to this point. However, what I will do is credit the staff for the way they're doing things at the moment, and I think there's clearly some learning that has taken place from where it's gone wrong in previous windows, and there is a commitment, to get things right this window. So,
I think it would be
without praising the Kroenkes and without moving or changing my Kroenke out stance.
Yeah,
these lot are doing all right.
I think with me, I always say try and put the blame in the right areas. So when people are going mad about Willian, yes, it has a little bit to do with Kroenke, because if he offered Arteta and Edu 50 more million, they probably wouldn't have looked at Willian. They would have gone for someone else to cover that position. However, the transfer budget is the transfer budget. I will criticise Edu and Arteta for a Maitland-Niles decision last year, and I will criticise them for Emi Martinez. They're the two. I don't even criticise them for Willian, because on paper,
maybe the way the Saliba. Sorry to interject.
I'm not even criticising them for that, because you know what? They never brought him in.
It was handled for the loan, though, in terms of there seemed to be a bit of chaos there.
It was a
they sorted it out in the end. Not. I'm not talking about now going to Marseille.
I know what you mean. Like him wasting half a season just not doing anything. I do agree with that. And I think Arteta even put his hands up and said, I should have registered him anyway for Cup squad. So, I could give a bit of criticism there. Definitely the Maitland-Niles one. But again, in hindsight's a funny thing. At the start of the window, I know I was saying we can't sell Maitland-Niles. For whatever reason, it went wrong with him at Arsenal. But I think the big one is Emi Martinez. I think that, but again, if rumblings are correct that Leno wants out, you can't foresee that Leno is going to say I want out next season. So a little bit of leeway. But actually, when I look at, it would be interesting to see at the end of this year, to see what our outgoings were on our weekly wages, to see what they are now, like end of this transfer window, because I reckon we are saving so much money on salary. So again, as much as Kroenke gets a bit of credit for, obviously he's given them a bit more money this year, I actually feel Edu and Arteta deserve a massive round of applause for actually getting that wage bill down. It's not easy. We've seen how Barcelona are struggling right now to get that wage bill down. Same talk with Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean? So actually, yes, our league position wasn't great. If you look at it in points, how far off we were, when you look at certain decisions that went against us, bits of bad luck, we wasn't far off. And actually, they've made masses of savings long term, and they've put our club in a lot healthier position. So actually, I get Arteta was close to getting sacked, I think, last year. They stuck with him for actually the project. And as I said, regardless of what happens at the end of next year, if Arteta's manager or not, the project is bigger than one person, and actually he's probably going to put us in a better position going forward than what he's inherited. And it needed refreshing.
The deadwood he would have cleared out, and the new players that he would have brought in, whether or not he's here at the end of the season, because people think I'm Arteta in. I'm Arteta indifferent. I'm Kroenke out, and I'm Arteta indifferent. I know the Arteta situation ain't going to change, so I don't sit there and lambast it, because there's no point. I know that in 5 or 10 years, this is going to be a very good manager, but
whether it's Arsenal or not,
I am upset at the fact that it's us that decided to, let him cut his teeth. But this is the reality of the situation now. So for what he's had to work with, and I'm talking about the playing squad, it's been it's been farcical. You know, in terms of the problems, the camps, and the cliques inside it. I mean, you only need to look at Mustafi and you know, was it Kolasinac he was on loan with at Schalke?
Yeah.
All the mess that they were causing there, you know, with the backroom staff and stuff,
and
all this. So, you know, getting rid of these guys, and getting, you know, sort of younger players in that want to be here, that are buying into managers' systems and instructions, that are not involving or engaging in you know, sort of fractious things on the field or off the field, that are going to improve. And you know, whether or not they're going to be here in a few years, whether we keep them and they become future stars, whether we sell them and they become a future star at another club, but then we, you know, take that money and buy 5 or 6 of the stars tomorrow, like Leicester have. As I said, and I've said all along, when Leicester sold Maguire, you know, no one, you didn't hear any Leicester protests, any fan protests. Yeah, what was it? The next season, where they got rid of Mahrez. You didn't hear their fans.
Mahrez is before, Mahrez is before Maguire. But
sorry, I missed those around.
But yeah, you think to lose Mahrez and Kante in one season is massive, and they still carried on.
They lost Drinkwater as well, you know, and then you look at Chilwell as well last season.
Maguire then Chilwell, yeah.
No one cared, because you know what, they took that every time. They've basically for the one player sale. They bought 2 or 3 players, pocketed some of the change as well to make sure that they're on an even keel. Got 2 or 3 up and coming players. Then one of those goes. You know, and it's just the whole thing until now. All of a sudden, everyone's basically saying, "Are Leicester a top 6 side now?" When they were absolutely no one 5 years ago.
Yeah. It just shows you with the right management in place and a proper plan, not just impulse. Things like this can be done. And just to touch on what you said about like the Mustafis and Kolasinacs, don't get me wrong, I know one player doesn't make a team, but when you look at, you've got 2 guys who are in a team which we all think should be fighting for Champions League, maybe UEFA Cup, have gone to Schalke, but 2 of them, not just one player, 2, and to see them get relegated shows you where they're at, because you think them 2 should be able to, 2 defenders should be able to help that team climb up the table. You now look at what Saliba done on loan as a youngster, and then you look at what Willock done. Willock not single-handedly kept Newcastle up, but he was a major part of keeping Newcastle in the Premier League. Like them goals he got at the end, and again, not everything's on goals, but just the threat he gave, the legs, the energy, and again, it just breeds confidence. Do you know what I mean? You saw a lot of the other players' levels start rising up, whereas you look at Schalke, they've taken 2 of ours and have plummeted. So it shows you. Not saying they're bad players, but something about some of them just didn't have the right character and mentality. Whereas Willock took that Newcastle loan by the scruff of the neck and said, "I'm dragging you lot, and we're staying in the Prem." Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference.
This is why I will die on this hill protecting this kid, you know, and saying that he should have a future at this club.
One thing I will say though, that Rangers game
was perfect. Yeah, like the difference, of a World Cup winner in Mustafi. And Kolasinac, who has been there and done it with, you know, some big clubs. He's a Champions League player, you know, for, you know, his previous clubs.
Player of the year 1 year in Germany.
And Willock, his experience compared to that is relatively modest. You know, like look, Newcastle are in the same ish positions that Schalke were in a more competitive league, and you know, to go from being actually in the relegation zone to finishing 12th with Newcastle, with his goals being a big part of that. And as you're saying, his performances galvanizing the performances of others around him, as well as improving, you know, in his own performances. That these are the levels, you know, like this is why I'm like, Guendouzi, who is he? You can go, you know. You know, like,
I love Guendouzi, but if you're not fighting for the cause, I'm not with it. Like we haven't got time for passengers, really don't.
You're a good player. I'm no doubt he will go on to be quality. You know, he's obviously have a child now in the middle of this loan situation. I think he'll grow up. He'll become older and a bit wiser. And I wish him all the best in the future. But guys, this is I can see what we're doing now. It's like, you know, we are creating a standard where it's like you're either on this page in terms of the discipline, the attitude, the application that is expected of this football club, or you're not.
Yeah.
And there's no grey area in between. There's no special treatment for more senior players or ones that are performing better. It's a one size fits all for every single Arsenal player at this football club. Period.
And that's so important. It's so important. So yeah, for me, yeah, I think we're on the right lines. I think I'm not saying Arteta's the correct manager, but actually I think wherever he leaves behind, I said even just that philosophy of the mentality of the players. Do you know what I mean? The hunger, the desire. That's very, very important. Again, not saying Wenger didn't like certain players, but again, we could see it in some of Wenger's signings. He didn't like a certain style. He didn't like guys that were going to upset the dressing room. So he had players, again, look at our model. We had a social model where average players are getting paid almost as much as the star players. Do you know what I mean? Which, as much as, yes, it doesn't grow resentments in your team, but actually you should be, to get that money, you should deserve that money. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and again, we had like Johan Giroud on 60 to 70,000 a week, and then we wonder why we can't get rid of these players. Do you know what I mean? They're happy. They're sit here on. Give me a 5-year contract. I'll sit in the reserves. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not picking up this money elsewhere. Carl Jenkinson, how many years was he out on loan? Because he knows he can't. There's no point leaving because he's going to get 5-6 grand a week where he's on 25-30 with us. So yeah, there's a more ruthlessness about Arsenal, and I think Arteta will inherit that from Pep, because Pep has that ruthless streak in him, and it is needed at our club. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go to Zyron the Tester's comment. I like that.
Zyron, yeah, no, it's a good question with Aubameyang. Like, we will get to that, but what I want to do is just bring up this story as well. And basically look at this. I think we'll look at Aubameyang at the end. Want to try and wrap up fairly soon, but yeah, no. The one rumor that is going around is that we're also looking at a keeper, maybe to either back up Leno or to eventually go on to be the number one, or to provide competition and potentially test his spot. Right now, we know Arteta wants to play with a system where he plays out from the back, where everyone down to even the goalkeeper is a bit more competent at being able to carry out that instruction. And two players that we are looking at, Ramsdale and Sam Johnson as well from West Brom. Bit of a difference in price. I think I heard that West Ham had a bid rejected for Sam Johnson this week for 6 million. And that West Ham holding out for closer to 10. Ramsdale, slightly younger. Also with relegated Sheffield United, they want 20 million for him, which I think seems a bit excessive. But now that I understand Bournemouth have a sell-on clause of 15%, makes a bit more sense. That's probably in part what is inflating that value. What are your thoughts, Gums?
This to me,
would there be any at all?
This to me, first of all, I would Onana. The price is better, obviously. Yeah, but again, I'm just going to go on the fact of I don't think Leno's going this year, but this smells like, to me, Leno's saying, if we don't get Champions League next year, I'm off. Like, I'm getting to 29, I think Leno is, maybe a bit younger, 28, 29. Like, he's probably wants to fight for that German spot. I don't think Neuer's been as great the last 2 seasons as what he has been previously.
You know what I've always thought as well? Sorry to just interrupt there really quick.
Yeah, go.
I've always said that Leno, I think once Neuer's done out here, Bayern will go in for him. Because he's Germany's second keeper. And if you notice, Bayern have a history of always having Germany's number one keeper.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And the thing is, relative to what he'll cost, I just think they'll go in for him. I've got a feeling.
So
I felt that all along from the moment he signed. He would come here and use us
almost, isn't it? Yeah, which is fine. You know what I mean? He'll do his job. This does smell to me of he's coming for talks. We've got one more year, Champions League, or I'm off. One thing that shows me is we learnt last year that we can't rely on a number 2 who's not good enough to take the reins. So I would prefer Sam Johnston. I haven't seen much of Ramsdale. I know people are going mad about his mistakes and whatever else. So I do need to look at it. Because again, I think a keeper's a funny situation, isn't it? Because actually, the more work you've got to do, the better it is because actually it would see his percentages of saves and the rest of it. So
they both play for relegated clubs,
teams. Yeah, like, so again, you can't. Sometimes you can't read much into that because I remember.
You've got to take that with a pinch of salt, as you were saying. Rather than looking at number of shots missed or goals let in, you've got to look at things like percentiles of shots saved. You know,
chances they've given up.
Yeah, that's why it's the distribution as well, because that's what he wants as well. You've got to look at that, and I think Ramsdale's probably a bit better playing with the ball at his feet.
I could believe playing for thing as well. Playing for Sheffield United play out, don't they, as well?
They're both good shot stoppers. There's not a lot in it. I think Ramsdale's age and potential ceiling, I'm probably a bit more invested into, but then that's coming at a cost. That's coming at a premium. But look, a difference of 10 mil.
Yeah, if we got the money, like for me, and again, it's just a case of right, bring them in. We have a good look at them this year. If Leno was to jump ship, we now can decide, right, Ramsdale's ready or Johnson's ready for number one, or actually they've done all right, but we need better. They stay as number two and we go out and get somebody. So it makes sense, because imagine if now Leno was going and this is what we're bringing in, an untested keeper at that level. I know they've played Prem, but again, it's different playing for Sheffield United than it is playing for Arsenal. The pressure's a lot different. So to me, again, it's getting things done early. Again, we've learned from our mistakes that actually you can't just have an unknown quantity as your number two, because it could have gone horribly wrong if we decided to stay with the two young boys, Hine and Akwankwo, I think it is, or who's the guy we signed last season who played a few games he had a bad Runarsson. Yeah. So again, it looks like we've learned from them mistakes. We're bringing in a solid number two with the intention of if Leno was to go, then we could have ready replacement, or actually they're not ready. We need to bring in another keeper who's going to take up the reins. And again, 10 mil or 15, 20 mil, you're probably not going to lose much on either of them if you had to go and sell one later on. So again, to me, it's getting things done early. It's not taking a risk. We learned from last year we couldn't afford to take a risk again with Runarsson. So I said, I don't feel any of these two are going to be our number one. So whichever one it is, I'm not really too fussed with.
We'll definitely
see how we go.
Yeah. So guys, look, very quickly that comment there about Aubameyang. I mean, look, I don't want to dwell on this really quick. For too long, because I did want to wrap up now. But I did want to come back to it really quickly. I think Aubameyang is more proven than the players that we mentioned. So Guendouzi, it's a case of what have you really done compared to Aubameyang. Aubameyang has serially banged every season. He had one bad season, right? And that's in his entire career. You know, he's been Mr. Consistent. His goal scoring record doesn't lie. So I'm not talking about creating a leniency with that. I think if you look at our chance creation last season, it was so low. I was feeding off scraps. And look, any striker's going to get frustrated in that situation. Yeah, there was the incident where he turned up late for the Tottenham game. That was dealt with, professionally put to bed. And I think that instilled some discipline in him. But it also showed the rest of the squad that, look, even the captain and top goal scorer at this club at the moment can
in the biggest game of the season.
Biggest game of the season. I don't care who you are, sit on the bench. And the fact that we went and won that game and that decision was vindicated further, I think that further strengthened Arteta's resolve. And like, if we had lost that game, then that decision would have been called into question. I didn't hear anyone question that decision after, seeing Lacazette smashing that penalty. Tottenham got a lot more of that to look forward to next season. I'll tell you that now for nothing. I just wanted to touch on that quickly anyway. And I'm sure Gumser probably feels the same.
Yeah, but everyone knows for me, Abba wasn't. I preferred Lacazette last year. I think he brought more to the team. But again, Abba is proven he deserved his contract. I say the same about Ozil. When people go mad at Ozil, actually Ozil deserved that contract I'm trusting it. I don't think Arteta might not be the right guy, but I think in Edu, I think he's coming for some stick which he doesn't deserve. Again, people put a lot of blame on him, and again, even if you look at say Saliba, there's nothing really to do with him. Manager picks the team. He then says, "All right, this is what we're going to." Do you know what I mean? Okay, you're using him. No, right? We need to find him alone. So there's a lot of things that get directed at Edu, which he doesn't really deserve. I think the only thing I think you could talk about is the Willian. I don't think Maitland-Niles is his decision. I think he probably would have cashed in on Maitland-Niles, but it's probably Arteta saying, "Nah, actually, I could use him. We'll do this with him." I don't think Edu's done much wrong in terms of recruitment at all. I think he's actually done pretty well.
What people need to remember is Arteta and Edu are the two interns that have been given the keys to the city. Like, they've never done this job before. Like,
and I don't think
it needs to be a little more realistic when you're considering that effectively. Imagine giving two interns the keys to the city.
Yeah.
You know, like
they're learning
the job. And
I hear people.
I don't make the rules. I would have loved for Kroenke to go out and get people that are recognised that have done this, but he didn't. And on top of that, we've actually done that before, and that didn't necessarily work out.
Yeah. And like, you know, people say about like they don't know how to do negotiations. I'm saying, what are we talking about? Because actually, there's only one thing I think we overpaid for, which is Willian's contract. I think that's the only thing I'm saying that's a bit high. But if you look at then what Mkhitaryan was getting on a swap deal for Alexis, like, he didn't cost us any money. We gave him a whopping 200,000. So when you look at it in terms, we've had experienced guys who have given out mad contracts. I think Abba's contract was justified. When you've got Ozil on 350, he's obviously going to hold out for 253. At that time, you remember the video that came out when he signed and him walking around the stadium. Bro, it sent chills. I was almost in tears. Like, do you know what I mean? So I can't moan at Abba's contract at all. Who would have ever thought Abba would have had a season like he had last year? And I don't think it's just his fault. I do think it's the system. But actually, if you look at, we haven't overpaid for any player. Like, Pepe wasn't Edu's transfer. Ben White is arguably on par with Mustafi, I would say. If you think, how many years ago was Mustafi? 7 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. So and we paid 35, so actually 15 mil extra. Inflation's nothing, and English tax. Actually, in terms of that, you're looking at Ben White's probably actually cheaper than what Mustafi would have been this day and age if he was English. And so I don't think
Mustafi wasn't 23 when he came to
so I don't think we overpaid for him. Lukonga and them guys that we obviously haven't overpaid for. Martinelli's a steal. Like, I think one thing we haven't done well, we haven't got much money in for our players, but I think the markets we're in at the moment, there's not much money in football, especially abroad. So we're going to struggle fighting the money in. But even with how we're dealing with Xhaka, we're not. Xhaka probably could have been wrapped up if we accepted what they were offering, but we're holding firm and saying, no, we want closer to what this is. So, do you know what I mean? I feel Edu's coming for unjustified criticism because of our league position, where that's not his responsibility. Yeah. His responsibility is management of transfers and things like that. So
I just want to say I can't speak on the City situation because this is news to me now. And Gumzo, I would love for you to, but I think we need to
do a bit more research into it. But I heard there's
do some research into it.
All I've heard is they've got to release some documents that may hold some sauce and some tea in it. So we'll see what happens.
Well, let's see. But guys, I just want to remind you of one thing. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Obviously, keep the comments up. We love that. We love the engagement. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. We appreciate every single one of our viewers, here on the Armoury TV and as part of the FTB Sport family. Now, the last thing that I want to wrap up on, is I just want to spread a bit of positivity, man. I just feel like, look, I get it. I'm 37 years old. I've seen Arsenal like way worse than we are now without the Wenger and the George Graham legacy to pull off, to attract players in, even when we are a sleeping giant that hopefully is starting to wake up. I just want to spread some positivity by saying this. On this day, 8 years ago, shout out Lisa, by the way, one of my favorite Arsenal fans on Twitter. But on this day 8 years ago, Arsenal offered £40 million and £1 to Liverpool in order to activate Luis Suarez's £40 million release clause. One of the most Arsenal things ever. Yeah. This is where we come from. Yeah. And this is where we are now. When Locatelli are like, this is the price, we've put the money on the table. We're getting our targets early. We're lining up our ducks in a row in terms of plan A, B, and C for central midfield targets. Things are looking positive with Maddison, James Maddison. One of the best attacking midfielders that has been in performing in the Premier League over the last 3-4 year period.
3 years, yeah.
So let's just be a little positive. Let's just try smiling a little. You got teams out there, yeah, on the other side of those flats over there, yeah, residing in that shithole stadium, yeah. They ain't made a signing yet. They had to try 15 times to get a manager before they finally got that right, yeah. It could be a lot worse, guys. All right, so
it could be.
So I'm going to call it a day today, yeah. Let's be a little positive. I don't want to use those words. Trust the process. No. But just trust, yeah, that everything that's going on now, take time, yeah. Everything that's going on now is not 8 years ago making a 40 million and £1 bid for Suarez, or in 2002 when around this time we were signing Pascal Siakam.
Oh God! Yeah. Just to go back to that 40 million and £1 signing, who did we bring in instead of Suarez that year? Did we even get anyone?
Sanogo or Chamaka. I swear it was one of those two.
What year was it again? You say it was?
It was Mari and Chamaka. I'll need to have a look at that, honestly.
And this is a difference. So
yeah.
I'm not mad at the 40 mil and £1 because the agent said he's got a release clause, offer that, and he's yours. We offered it. Obviously, they didn't stand by the release for whatever reason. Fine. But then actually, once that's rejected, then you move on to your second target. And this is the problem where we didn't plan before. Whereas now we've got planning. Okay, we can't get Locatelli because he's gone Juve. Here's the next signing. If we can't get him, there's the next one. And we've got a plan. So that's the difference. You know what I mean? We went from Suarez to Sanogo, whereas now we might go from Locatelli to Ruben Neves or Basuma. The drop-off's not as big. So we're on the up.
Yeah, we're on the up, man. We're on the up. But guys, thank you all for tuning in. It's been great to have you on, Gums, as always.
Love, bro. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to tune in for Gunslingers. And I've got a special guest on Thursday from Cannon Chatter GT, who I did a chat with after the Saka incident at the Euros. So I'm looking forward to having him on Thursday's show as well. Take it easy, guys.
All right, bruv. Love.